Global crude inventories fell by approximately 200 million barrels last month in the aftermath of the Middle East war, triggering warnings of a potential price surge ahead of the summer travel season.
중동 전쟁 여파로 지난 4월 한 달간 전 세계 원유 재고가 약 2억 배럴 감소한 것으로 추정됨에 따라 여름철 여행 성수기를 앞두고 유가가 지금보다 더 오를 수 있다는 경고가 나오고 있습니다. This is the warning coming out of every country right now.
Yes, absolutely. Stockpile, I guess, or the inventory of crude that people have, it's diminishing. And because of that, supply and demand is going to become an issue. And as mentioned, when it comes to summertime and airfare travels and things like that, I think we're going to see a lot of crazy prices this summer.
Yeah, exactly. Some people are saying you have to buy the tickets now. In fact, it's probably little bit late.
It could be.
Yeah, if you bought it earlier on, as some people do, then good for you. But it's just going to get pricier.
Yes, especially airfare.
Yes. Let's have a look at crude inventories.
Crude, we're talking about oil in not its purest form, but I guess its basic form when it's discovered. So when we have oil and it's pumped out of the ground or wherever it comes from, it's like that dark black thing. And that is then refined into, gasoline and diesel and rocket fuel and all these different other things that we use it for out of that one first substance. Now, we're talking about crude inventories, and when it comes to inventories, it's we're talking about how much stock you have left or how much of that you have kind of set aside to be used later on.
Yeah, exactly. crude라는 거는 원유를 얘기하고 있습니다. crude라는 단어 자체가 무언가의 그 날것의 상태를 얘기하거든요. 그 다음에 이제 inventories는 재고량이에요. 그래서 원유의 재고, crude inventories.
We often talk about inventories with stores that sell, let's say, clothing or commercial items. Then you might look around and maybe they don't have your size. Then the worker, the employee might say, let me see if we have that in our inventory somewhere else. Yeah. And they'll kind of check their computer and see if they might have some stuff in the back or maybe at another store. So they have it maybe somewhere else in another form.
재고량이 있는지 한번 확인해 볼게요. Let me check that to see if it's in our inventories. 이렇게 표현할 수 있겠군요. 자, in the aftermath of something.
Aftermath is kind of after something is over, and then you kind of calculate things. And, you might look at how many people were injured or casualties from a situation. That's kind of like the math or the accounting after something bad happened. But you're basically talking about after something has passed, then you kind of look at what the situation is after that.
그렇죠. 무엇의 여파로 라는 뜻으로 in the aftermath of something. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Crude. Global crude inventories fell by approximately 200 million barrels last month in the aftermath of the Middle East war, triggering warnings of a potential price surge ahead of the summer travel season. Now let's move on to the fourth headline.
Corporate bankruptcies in Western Europe rose to their highest level on record in 2025, the fourth consecutive annual increase since records began in 2002, signaling a structural economic downturn.
자, 작년 서유럽의 기업 파산 건수가 관련 집계를 시작한 2002년 이래 최고치이자 4년 연속 증가한 수치를 보임에 따라 이것이 구조적인 경기 침체를 시사한다는 분석이 나왔습니다. What do we know?
Well, we know that the sharpest increase in the region was recorded in Switzerland, where cases actually jumped 35.3%, largely due to a legal change at the start of 2025 that kind of tightened enforcements of public claims and it lowered the effective threshold for insolvencies in particular. So, obviously Western Europe, for the most part, they're all going through some economic downturn. But in particular, I guess Switzerland has been the largest sufferers.
스위스가 또 큰 타격을 받은 국가군요. 자, 표현을 좀 보자면은 we're looking at corporate bankruptcies.
So with corporate, we're talking about larger companies. So it's not a personal bankruptcy or maybe like a small mom and pop shop. We're talking about bigger companies that might have multiple stores or deal in larger amounts of money.
자, 여기서 형용사로 쓰인 corporate는요, 기업의라는 뜻이 되고 뒤에 나온 bankruptcy가 파산이니까 기업 파산입니다. Corporate bankruptcies. If you signal something, what does that mean?
If you signal something, then you're showing a sign of something to come.
Yeah.
So it's like when you see, oh, this is happening, therefore it might be like a precursor or an indication that something else might happen quickly.
When we drive, we have to signal or indicate that we're turning left or right before we do it to avoid an accident. And this seems like common sense, but I remember when my kids were younger, they asked me, why do you turn the blinkers on? And I said, because the cars behind me need to know in advance that I'm going to turn left or right or whatever so that we don't get in an accident.
Yeah.
Because if I don't signal that I'm going to make a turn, and if I just do it, it's very dangerous. And then they went,
And you might also signal to people physically with things as well. Like I can give you the thumbs up, yep, I'm okay. Or if you're across the street and I'll wave, then I'm signaling to you, hey, can you see me? Hi,
exactly.
Sue. So there's different things that we might do to kind of get your attention while we're signaling to you as well.
Exactly. And people who watch me on Boy는 Radio might sometimes notice I do sort of this or this, and I'm probably I do want to say thumbs up to our listeners, but it's not just that. What it actually is that I have a monitor in front of me and I'm communicating constantly with the staff outside, and I'm just signaling that I understand, that I know what's happening, and I will speed up or slow down and things like that. All right, well, here's the headline again. Corporate bankruptcies in Western Europe rose to their highest level on record in 2025, the fourth consecutive annual increase since records began in 2002, signaling a structural economic downturn. Now here's our final headline.
The flames of Turkmenistan's gates to hell, a natural gas field that has been burning since 1971, appear to be on the decline as recent infrared imaging reveals that heat intensity has plummeted by more than 75% over the last 3 years.
1971년부터 지금까지 계속 불타고 있는 투르크메니스탄의 천연가스전, 일명 지옥의 문의 불길이 점차 사그라드는 것으로 보입니다. 이는 최근 적외선 영상을 통해 이곳 화염의 열 강도가 지난 3년 사이 75% 이상 급감한 것으로 관찰됐기 때문입니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so if you've seen the pictures or videos of this place, I remember seeing this on YouTube as one of those places where it says, 10 places in the world you wouldn't believe exist. And this place kind of comes up and it shows like this big hole in the ground that is on fire.
Yeah.
Where there's constantly like flames coming out of this place. And it's kind of known as the gates to hell. And it's been burning since 1971. They say it goes back to when the Soviets were drilling for oil there. They hit a natural gas deposit, and in order to make it safer, because the natural gas would just escape, and you don't want natural gas being in the area because it can kill things. They lit it on fire, I guess, and it's been burning ever since.
와우, 이 닉네임이 정말 무시무시해요. Gates to hell. 직역으로 번역을 한다면은 지옥으로 가는 뭐 그런 문.
It's a large hole too, by the way.
그러니까요. 우리말로는 물론 이제 지옥의 문이라고 부르는데 그런 게 연상이 될 정도로 좀 무서운 천연가스전인데 그곳에 불길이 많이 줄어들었다고 합니다. Okay, let's have a look at on the decline.
On the decline means that it's going down. So the number of something could be going down or something's popularity could be going down. In this case, it's saying that the heat in the area is going down.
네, 뭔가가 감소 추세일 때 내려가고 있어요. It is on the decline. 반대로 그러면은 it's on the increase 할 수 있어요? 그렇게 잘 안 하나요?
It's going up, I guess. I mean, earlier we talked about a hike, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it could be like temperatures are hiking up. You could say, as we mentioned before.
좋아요.
On the decline, I guess, I mean, it'd be the incline. The decline.
그렇게는 잘 안 하는 것 같긴 해요. 그렇죠?
We don't really say that, though.
알았습니다. 자, 그다음에는 이제 적외선 영상인데요. infrared imaging.
Yeah, infrared imaging is, I guess, a picture or when you look at something with a heat chart to show how hot something is. And I think we probably saw a lot of this at the start or during COVID when people would have infrared imaging to check our body temperatures when we entered certain buildings.
Oh, yeah.
And if we were too hot, it looked like we might have a fever of some sort. It'd be like, oh, wait a minute, you can't enter this building because you're too hot. So, infrared imaging is when you can look at something and you'll see the image as heat patterns of your body and stuff like that. So you can recognize how hot something is.
적외선은 우리말 영어로 infrared고요. 자외선은 영어로 infra purple이 아니라 ultraviolet예요. 완전히 다른 단어입니다. 그래서 자외선은 ultraviolet. 그래서 우리가 UV rays라고 하잖아요. 그게 바로 자외선입니다. ultraviolet rays. 그 다음에 이제 적외선을 이용한 그것은 infrared, 그리고 영상이니까 imaging. 자, 다시 읽어보겠습니다. The flames of Turkmenistan's gates to hell, a natural gas field that's been burning since 1971, appear to be on the decline, as recent infrared imaging reveals that heat intensity has plummeted by more than 75% over the last 3 years. All right, well, that's it for the headlines with Jason Lee.